Can you see me now?
Wait, how do you want me to do this? From back where I was?
Can you see me?
Yeah, I definitely can see you.
It's so stupid. Oh no. Oh my god. This is how I made my wife's dream island. Her labor of love. Have fun. So this is our maple border for our island that we're going to inlay with marble in the center. And this is the bottom side of it. You can see I pocket screwed and glued these mitered edges together. And then this was my first time ever using a router, so obviously there's some imperfections, but this is probably the best side, straightest side. We mitered down 3/4 of an inch and then out 1 inch, so we could put a 3/4 inch piece of maple plywood in here, kind of like the backing of a picture frame. And then when you flip it over, you've got 1.25 inches here. So then we're gonna have a 1/4 inch of plywood here, and then 1/2 inch marble. That's gonna be, so then it'll be flush with the top. It's kind of hard to explain. I'll show it to you when it's all done. But as soon as I put this back piece on here, you won't be able to see it like this anymore. So I just wanted to record it real quick. And obviously this is the worst side. My bit had ended up falling out of the router there, ended up like gnawing at the table and chewed up the wood a little bit, but gives it some character. Just keep moving forward. And originally we were gonna go 1 inch deep, but then we just didn't have the right router last night and realized that 3/4 of an inch is plenty. But yeah, you see some mistakes here that are gonna get hidden finally. So we're gonna put this glue and screw this plywood into here, and then give you another update. So here we go. Practicing the Roman OG bit. We call it the orgy bit. Gives you a nice beveled edge to your wood. I'm gonna end up doing it on the top of this outer border that we're finishing up here for the island. Wish me luck. Once you get started on this thing with the router, you don't really want to stop until your cut's complete. It's a little bit of a pain to get started again and make it look cohesive. But the wife says she likes the character. So I suppose if it's not perfect, like right here where I started and stopped, it's not the end of the world. See how it turns out. Couple quick notes I want to make before I move on to my next phase, which is flipping this top over and doing just a quarter round underneath it so that this knife edge is a little softer. That I'm going to be doing with this Milwaukee router. But important notes to remember when you're picking out your router: if you're going to be cutting into 1.5 inch thick pine, maple, it doesn't matter what it is, I would recommend getting a 2 horsepower corded router, something that can really eat up that wood and spit it out without getting hung up on the knots. I actually did this pine 2x4 with my Milwaukee with the Roman OG bit on it, so it was able to do it. But what I found is that like when I got over to the knots and stuff like that, it kind of got hung up. So it's possible on softer wood to use a smaller router with a larger bit, but just to be safe, if you're going to use a an OG bit or anything that's really wide, just get the bigger router. It makes it so much easier. I was so worried about making this cut perfect and not going too deep and not getting hung up on, especially some areas where there was some big knots, like right here. And as long as you don't pull on the bit and you just kind of let it chew up the wood and do its work, really works really well. But it's all about having the right tool for the right application. So, and then when I flip this over, I'm going to be using, again, this Milwaukee roundover bit to kind of just do something like this. Just a little bit of a beveled edge, just so you don't have to sand it by hand, and it makes it a little bit smoother so kids aren't cutting their hands on it. So, got to cut it at 46 inches, so I put some tape down, drew a line, just to kind of keep the Sharpie off the marble, because I don't know if we'll be able to get it off. It's not sealed yet. So now I'll put a straight edge and cut it, and we'll see what happens. This is another awesome hack that I found. Proves what the Milwaukee can do. So I had to cut some porcelain, and I didn't have a wet saw. So I took the bottom guard off and realized you could fit a 7-inch blade in there for, this is a diamond blade for granite and marble, but I got one specifically for porcelain tile. And you're able to fit it in here without the guard on it, which is awesome. You don't have to go out and buy a wet saw. You can just cut it with that, and then my wife stands next to me and sprays it with a little bit of water while I'm cutting and does the trick. So in a pinch, or if you're feeling redneck, you can just kind of do this and get away with it. All right, so now we're into the final assembly. We're getting towards the end. So we brought the top in, we flipped it over, we're staining the bottom so we don't have to crawl underneath and stain it. We put a couple coats on. The entire wood is done on this bottom piece, so it's ready for the marble to be installed. So after we stained the bottom, we took it off again after it dried, and I put all the liquid nail down. I believe I just ran around, made sure everything was done and finished up, because I wasn't going to be able to have access to it after the top was installed. So I wanted to make sure everything was ready to go for the top to be installed. So we install the top. I shim it out. You know, you can probably see me here putting a level on it in some places, and just kind of adjusting it. Make sure it's flat. Make sure nothing looks out of whack. At the end, I probably won't show it in the video, but I just went around with a bead of caulk and kind of caulked in the areas where there was gap, but the top is for sure level. I know that for a fact. So, and then I clamped it down and I let it sit for I think a day. I let it sit. So yeah. But now that all the wood is done, what we're doing here is, before I put the backer board down, I wanted to put just like a vapor barrier. So we're just priming it so that if there's any moisture that seeps through, it's not going to rot the wood out. I don't expect this happening, but I just wanted to be precautious, extra precautious. So basically, wherever the marble is going to go, wherever it laid down, we just painted the wood, just in case if there was any water or anything. I mean, we have 5 kids, so if there's anything that seeped down there, I didn't want it to cause a problem. Now we've installed the backer board here. You can see me sanding it down, just making sure it's flat. There's not a lot of room there. I think it was about a half an inch. No, it was more like a quarter of an inch. So I really wanted it flat. So when I put the mortar on, none of the tile, or marble I should say, was sticking up. And I was happy with the way it turned out. So one of the things I did screw up too is I thought I could just put the tile down or the marble down and glue it, but you can't. You have to use a backer board, otherwise it could crack. So I would probably just make sure that that inlay section was a little bit deeper so I could put more mortar on, because I really wasn't able to put that much mortar on. And I think it'll be okay because you have like a 1/2 inch backing board. So if anything drops on it, it shouldn't crack. But just to be safe, I would have added some more room so I could really cake on that mortar some more and kind of level it out. here in this part of the video now, I'll explain it later on at the end, but basically what I did is I put exterior caulking on, and it gave us all a headache, so I had to put baking soda in there and vacuum it out and clean it out. It was a real headache, but we figured it out, we adapted and overcame. A couple of tips and tricks I want to show you guys. One, wear a mask, because this caulking is super potent, and my wife and I have been sick from it since, because we put that polyurethane caulk on first, and it just, it's been messing with our heads all day. Second, so this tape, as I'm peeling it up, I'm trying to get it straight, come to the end of the line here, and it's pulling that one up. Okay, well, I don't want to pull this up yet, so I'll just fold it over, tape it, let it be, and I'll move over to this side, peel this up. Pretty happy with how this silicone caulking is turning out. Another tip too, not that I know everything, I'm just learning a lot during this process and would love to share it because I wish somebody shared it with me. This caulking, you can get at Menards. I don't know if you have a Menards where you're at. White Lightning, this stuff is awesome. So basically, let me finish peeling this up and then I'll show you. So here she is, our labor of love. This is the last major project that we did in our house. It's now 5 months ago because it literally put my wife into labor. The whole reason we decided to build another island is because our old island didn't have enough seats for all of our kids. So we have 5 kids. So we needed 7 seats to fit around an island. And unfortunately in this house, we don't have a dining room. So the island is our table. It's where we eat, come together as a family. It's probably the most important piece of the kitchen. So my wife drew up some plans for what she had in mind. She wanted a wood border with an inlay of marble. And we had outsourced this maple to a company. And the only thing that they did is they cut, it's 5 months ago, so I forgot the measurements. This is 4 inches. I think it's 1.5 inches. So 4 inches by 52 by 74. Is that what I said it was?
73 by 54.
It's been 5 months. 73 inches long, 54 inches wide. So we outsourced.
Are you sure?
Yes. This 1.5 inch thick maple to a company. They mitered the edges at a 45 because I could do it here, but since it's literally like a machine, it's like a woodworking shop. They have the right tools to make sure the cut is 100% accurate. You saw in the video, I pocket screwed and glued it together. And then we stained it kind of this darker tone.
Dark walnut.
Dark walnut. And inlaid these marble slabs in here. So there's 3 different slabs. The middle one is the smallest. The outer one's 24 inches by 46. So what do we have on the ends here? I can't do my math. 4 inches on each side. Yeah, 4-inch border of maple around the entire thing. Something that I've never seen done before, and it pains me to say it.
Your wife was right. It looks beautiful.
Oh, yes, my wife.
It was worth it.
Yes, my wife is always.
I had a good idea.
It was a great idea. What wasn't a good idea was using exterior caulking inside.
Oh, well, that wasn't my idea.
That gave us a headache, and we were trying to detox a week before you gave birth. That was awful. You saw a little bit in the video, but I had to scrape up all the caulking around here and redo it with silicone caulking. So do not trust ChatGPT. I know that sounds stupid, but you know what?
They tried to kill us.
Just do a little bit more research. It even says it on the bottle, not to use it for interior use, only use it for exterior. But I was like,
it was on the back in very fine, tiny print, and it took us 5 minutes to find it. It was not bold.
It wasn't.
It wasn't until we were having major headaches and nauseous, even to the 2nd floor of our house.
Anyways, we still don't like the silicone, so I'm gonna rip this up and we're gonna do grout like we did in the middle here. I just think it blends a little bit better together. This kind of has like a tacky cheap feel to it. You can kind of see it over here if you zoom in.
And it's
Like,
uneven
it's
too.
kind of like peeling up. It just looks. It looks like your toilet. Like it just doesn't.
Ew.
Yes, it's gross. So I'm gonna rip all that up, and then put grout down. But other than that, it's completely done. So I started with, we ordered these posts online. Unfortunately, since we were rushed during this project, I couldn't record everything. We ordered these posts online. I cut them to the height that we wanted to. And then we made a maple border. I think these are 1x3, I think they're actually classified as 1x3s, even though they're 1x2.5. And basically just made a border, pocket screwed it into here. And we bought this cabinet at Menards. So this is just a standard cabinet at Menards. It's an old cabinet. 24.5 by, what is this, 18? So with our old island, we had a cabinet that was dedicated to trash, and my wife loved it. So she wanted me to make one for this, but I beefed it up a little bit, of course. So this fits 13-gallon trash bins, which you don't really see a lot. But yeah, it's basically set up on 2 rollers that pull out. And I mean, if people are interested, I can go into more depth of how I did it. It wasn't too hard. I'd be happy to kind of show, make a video dissecting how I did it. Man, I need to get some water. My throat is dry. But I painted it all black. Poly, because we have 5 kids, they get in here and they just spill everything everywhere, so you gotta wipe it up. It's just such a mess.
If you look hard enough, you can kind of see dried
it's
food.
It's just gross. You do what you can, right? Take the wins.
And then he added, because this was a standard kitchen cabinet, I wanted more detail on it to kind of match the legs. So if you look underneath, he did this trim work. And then he did these quarter round trim all the way around it.
Just a little extra flavor.
So it just matches the OG bit that goes along.
The orgy bit?
Yes. I had to watch what I was saying. Along the rest of the table. And so if you scoop back, you can really appreciate the little details of the side of the cabinet trim that matches the leg post. But yeah, obviously that wasn't there. He had to do that himself.
Yeah, it was a very cool project. Each time I do something woodworking, I tend to fall more in love with it. You really develop a relationship with the wood that you're working with, especially doing this OG bit around the entire border. I mean, this border wasn't cheap, so it's like a perfect cut that you have to make, which doesn't turn out perfect, but is perfect in my wife's size. So I'm happy with it, though. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the way the project turned out. Not happy that it sent my wife into labor, but her and the baby are good. All good. So,
You can say that now, 5 months later.
Yeah, 5 months later, and I'm just excited to share this with somebody. Hopefully it inspires people to get out, work on their projects. It's hard to stay motivated. It's hard to, just pick up the hammer and just get after it. We do our best with our big family, and it makes us feel accomplished. And I'm happy to continue to share this with you guys in the future and keep you inspired. So stay tuned for more, and thank you for watching.